order at 7:02 p.m. on Tuesday, May 7th, 2024. If everybody could rise to say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk Washington, call the roll.
Trustee Martin. Trustee Williams.
Present.
Trustee Lynch.
Present.
Trustee Roll. Here. Trustee Taylor. Present. Trustee Brown.
Here.
Would somebody like to make a motion for the approval of the board meeting minutes, regular board meeting minutes on April 19th, 2024? We have a motion. So moved. Trustee Lynch. Trustee Clark. Any questions or corrections?
Yes. I have some corrections. On page 2, it says that we amended $1,000 for Dion's Cafe, but at the end of it, it says that we did it for an additional $5,000. It says $5K. That should be $500. I have another correction. I think there's a comment that I made where it's kind of misspelled, and I think it's kind of misrepresented. I think it should be stricken from the record. It said Trustee Brown would like to see the village move forward from mulberry status. That's not what I said. We were, just for clarification, my fellow trustee and I were saying that the village should be more, as far as marketing, forward thinking. And it was kind of compared to the way we're doing now, like Mayberry, like Andy Griffin. But for an official minutes to say that I would like the village to move forward from mulberry status, we would have to explain, first of all, it's Mayberry, but then we would have to explain what that meant. So I think for the official minutes, I think that whole comment should be stricken if that's possible. Okay. This was to me very important. I mentioned to Steve when we were talking about negotiation and improving his agreement to do marketing. I asked if he was willing to negotiate, and he made and he said yes. I don't know if we can add that in the minutes, but I thought that was an important question. If you don't want to add it, that's fine, but that was a no. There's a last correction, one more time. Under new business, it says motion to approve $5,000 increase to Dion's Cafe for the Cinco de Mayo event. We did not approve $5,000, we just approved $1,000. And for those are the corrections that I see that needs to be amended in minutes, and I will approve them. I will vote yes after those are amended.
Trustee Lynch, will you amend your motion for the change that, yes. Trustee Brown, Trustee Clark, will you amend your motion? Okay. Any other questions, corrections? For question, call roll.
Trustee Brown.
Yes.
Trustee Williams.
Aye.
Trustee Lynch.
Yes.
Trustee Roll.
Yes.
Trustee Taylor. Yes. Trustee Clark.
Yes. Treasury report. Treasurer Hart.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Bills payable May 1st, 2024 for $406,291.44. Sword and water, $425,134.39. Tip Industrial North is $6,000. Glenwood Golf Course is $18,428.61. Tip Halsted North is $63,417.05. That's the total of all funds. $19,271.41.
49 cents. Would somebody like to make a motion for the bills payable? Trustee Clark.
Second.
Trustee Lynch. Any questions?
Treasurer Hart, this forfeiture check, that wasn't
2019, correct?
Correct.
Any other questions? For the question, call the roll.
Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Clark?
Yes.
Trustee Lynch?
Yes.
Trustee Roll?
Yes.
Trustee Taylor? Yes. Trustee Williams?
Aye.
I was doing the math, I'm sorry. Payroll as of the date March 22nd, 2024, corporate $142,094.15. Sewer and water, $19,339.90. Paid on call, $8,990.
Richard Hart, you skipped number 2.
Oh, that's a question. Yes, I'm so sorry. Bills payable, May 1st, 2024, corporate in the amount of $90,300 for check.
Somebody like to make a motion? So moved. Trustee Williams, do we have a second?
Second.
Trustee Lynch?
Yes.
Any questions?
I do.
Yes.
Treasurer Hart, will we go? No. No.
Trustee Roll.
One of my questions is, what exactly is this for? Is this reimbursement?
No, it's not, no, it's fine.
Yeah, this money was seized from a defendant regarding a money laundering case. And so these legal assets were seized by the Monmouth Police Department until they were went through the court proceedings, which took a couple of years, give or take. And ultimately, the judge decided with us that the funds were illegal and awarded it to the village of Glenwood. So what we do now is we take that money that we held in our asset forfeiture holding account, we cut the check to the state police for this amount, at which time, after they receive it, they will take 35% for processing and for legal fees and send us the remaining bank, which will be 65% of that amount. And that will go to our asset forfeiture fund, the expenditure account, that we can use to purchase equipment for the police department.
Any other questions? For a question, call the roll.
Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Trustee Taylor? Yes. Trustee Roll?
Yes.
Trustee Lynch?
Yes.
Trustee Clark?
Yes.
Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Okay, let's try this again. Payroll as of the date March 22nd, 2024, corporate in the amount of $142,094.15. Sewer and water, $19,339.90. Paid on call, $8,895.38. Glenwood Golf Course, $13,098.55. Vendor checks, $2,620.01. Overtime police, $9,709.85. Reimbursable, $1,402.38. Sewer and water, $1,243.74. Public works, overtime, $669.71. Economic development stipend, $461.52. That's a total payroll of $197,691.97.
Somebody like to make the motion to approve the March 22nd? Trustee Clark, do we have a second?
Second.
Trustee Lynch, any questions?
I just one. Chief Walsh, this paid on call, is that a result of just staffing?
That's our coverages for that extra position, yes.
Any other questions? For a question, call the roll.
Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Clark?
Yes.
Trustee Lynch?
Yes.
Trustee Roll?
No.
Trustee Taylor? Yes. Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Payroll as of the date April 19, 2024, corporate $182,017.43. Sewer and water, $15,440.05. Glenwood Golf, $17,725.43. Paid on call, $10,112. Vendor checks, $2,591.54. Overtime police is $9,702.17. Reimbursable universal road is $1,911.57. Public works overtime is $358.18. Economic development stipend, $461.52. Fiscal admin stipend is $1,064.83. That's a total payroll for $222,383.64.
Somebody like to make a motion to approve the payroll of April 19th, 2024.
So moved.
Trustee Lynch. Trustee Clark. Any questions?
I have a few. Treasurer Hart, this economic development, O'Brien, whoever, economic development stipend, what's that for?
That's fine.
That's the stipend for chief of I thought that we had that already built into the salary. Okay, so what's the admin stipend for?
That's,
Okay.
Any other questions?
Just one more minute. So Chief, how far are where are we in the process of hiring somebody? Because I see this pay on call is increasing every pay period.
That's a question for the Fire Police Commission, their independent body, to do their hiring. I know that they're out, and I've been soliciting for applications. I believe the period ends here in another week or two. I don't know how many apps are or not they're looking at.
So how then does the contracting company come into play with this to kind of mitigate some of that cost? Are we not able to?
That cost is part of ours with the additionals coverage at night and weekends for that extra fifth position when the chiefs aren't in. That's what that 8 or 10 is. The contract companies held to their minimum of 2 paramedics and a firefighter 24/7.
Any other questions? Or question?
I have a question.
Okay.
Treasurer Hart, I added these figures up, and how did you come to the 222, 386? I came up with,
I'm sorry, say that again.
I came up with a different total. So can you walk me through how you?
What total did you come up with?
I came up with 239,461.
And what were you adding to together? What return?
Everything that you have here, 182, starting with the corporate 182,000. And I'm trying to figure out where I did it twice, and I'm still coming up with a different figure.
Okay, I will have to look at the payroll summary total in here to just make sure everything is aligned and it wasn't a typo, which I was supposing that.
While she's doing it there, or I don't know if you can get back to us not Treasurer Hart, but Phil, the golf course, I see this is a significant increase with this payroll as well. Looks like everybody's payroll is increasing with the exception of police. So Phil, are you down staff, or is this vacation time? What's happening there?
It's starting golf season, so pretty much
What's the official date for the start of the golf season? When do we?
goes with the weather, so late April, sometimes early April, maybe February.
Typically open 364 days a year.
Depending on the weather.
Pete?
Trustee Taylor, what did you say the total was again?
239,461.27.
I'm just getting it away. Oh, I see.
what did you say that your number was again?
239,461.
I'm not sure how that the line in your package, payroll, even within this check, that's not.
Would it be easier to table? Would it be easier to table so these items can be researched?
That, we certainly can do the research on the payroll was stated in the amount of $222,164, and that's the amount of your receipts for your pay velocity and your payroll, the difference, in that, payroll, would be for May 3rd, payroll. It should have been an additional $1,600, but those are your actual payrolls.
$222,583.64 is the amount we paid.
Yes, that is your receipts for pay velocity with the total of your receipts, is your total payroll.
Well, if you can look into that tomorrow, why don't we pay that amount out and look into it?
Yeah.
Any other questions? Quick question, call roll.
Trustee Brown.
Yes.
Trustee Clark.
Yes.
Trustee Lynch.
No.
Trustee Rowe.
No.
Trustee Taylor.
No.
Trustee Williams.
No.
Okay.
For the record, those were, just, sending out, those payroll was paid already, and you cannot not pay the staff. So just letting you know for the record that
Okay,
payroll still is.
we'll have to bring this back to the next meeting. Right, for the time being. Next meeting. Item 5.
Payroll as, the date May 3rd, 2024, corporate amount $180,829.89, so water $15,716.23, the water efficiency $7,200, uniform allowance $35,000, elected position $6,784.84, payroll call $8,863.49. Glenwood Golf Course $29,042.76. Vendors check $3,310.99. Overtime police $8,707.02. Reimbursable that is $710.06. Sewer and water $1,014.09. Public work overtime $648.78. Economic development stipend $461.52. Administrative stipend $1,642.31. There was a $1,600 tax fee included in that, so the total amount payroll for this amount was $223,980.64.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Trustee Rowe and Trustee Brown, any questions?
Yes. So item 4 and item 5 have the same total. So something,
I'm sorry.
item 4 and item 5 have the same total.
Item 5 should be $223,983.64. That includes your $1,600 in taxes. So that will change the bottom line for number 5. As it was being typed up, there's a typo.
Any other questions? For question, call roll.
Trustee Brown.
Yes.
Trustee Clark. Trustee Lynch.
Yes.
Trustee Rowe. Trustee Taylor. Trustee Williams.
No.
is now open to the public for anything you want to bring up to the village board. So you just bring your name up, write your name and address down, and you can address the board.
Good evening, Deborah Birmingham, 850 East 193rd Place.
I want to thank you for your email. It was a nice email, a good suggestion, so I'm going to talk to the public.
Okay, wonderful. That's part of my discussion now. For the past couple of years, Mayor Gardner, you know, I've shared my concerns about Glenwood's need beautification. Several of the surrounding communities previously mentioned are well represented with beautiful flowers and shrubs. Glenwood is in much need of improvement. As I shared in times past, we have beautiful people who live in this community who deserve a beautiful surrounding. Suggested areas, you and I talked last year and the year before, I recall, suggested areas that could represent Glenwood in a positive manner with a village symbol, small flower bed, or both. Below are the locations entering Glenwood that not only could beautify our village, but display pride in all our subdivisions. These are just suggestions, some things to think about in terms of how we can beautify our community. The point, we have Cottage Grove south of Glenwood Dyer Road for those traveling northbound. You have a symbol there. Cottage Grove north of Glenwood Lansing Road for those traveling southbound. We can have a symbol there. We could possibly maintain our Brookwood Point home sign. Dante, we need to make sure this is still working. This is probably my next comment. And the village sign on Glenwood Dyer Road. As you know, Mayor, last year some of us even took up the cause of putting flowers in some of those places as well. Things that I believe Public Works used to be responsible for. Perhaps at Old Glenwood, you and I discussed that as well. Perhaps flowers over there by the Underground Railroad can include a symbol of Glenwood. We can maintain the Brookwood Point homeowner sign that rolls by the school. Even in the forest area, we have Maple and Cottage Grove facing east with the symbol. The Manor, our Fulop at 183rd Street facing west could also include our village symbol. If you pass through certain towns like Hazel Crest, Flossmoor, and some of the other areas, they have different subdivisions already labeled, so people driving, they don't have to wonder, where am I? They know the different subdivisions to help them distinguish where they're going. We have the estates possibly at the entrance off Halsted at 183rd Street could include symbols. Installing Village of Glenwood signs with the subdivision attached to the lower part of the display will provide a uniform look throughout the town. The Glenwood signs on Glenwood Dyer Road, Halsted, and off Main Street appear to be in good shape and could have just a subdivision at the attached below. The Brookwood Point signs located on Glenwood Dyer Road and Glenwood Lansing Road could have the village logo reflected on the lower part of the display. Those are some suggestions in terms of how we can go about beautifying our community. People pay taxes here. We want this to be a beautiful place where people not only just live, work, and play, they take pleasure driving through our town. When we look at our Fuller Park, as I've asked several for the past few years, even if that park is vacant, it should still look nice. The grass should be cut, and that sand lot, that baseball diamond should be addressed as well. My next concern. You all have done a good job. I've talked about need for an audio system throughout. That's good. But I'm going to ask that you all would work a little harder in making yourselves heard. Because when we listen to the Zoom session or anything else, whether Ms. Hadnot is recording or whatever, it's very difficult to hear what you all are saying. And even if I'm at home with my TV on 100%, it's still very difficult. So if you would, so we can make sure we understand and we can appreciate what you're saying and doing on behalf of the citizens, if you would, I know it may be difficult sometimes, but just speak louder and into the mic so that not only those of us in here can hear it, but when we want to go back and look at it later, we can hear it and understand what transpired. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to?
I'd like to make a quick comment to that,
Sure.
if I can. As far as, I think here right now I'm speaking loudly.
You do a great job. I was going to mention that.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. So at the volume, I at the volume that I'm speaking right now, when you go back and listen to it, can you hear it okay on Zoom?
You usually do. You usually speak really loud and clear. Yes. When you were speaking earlier, I meant to point that out too. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
John Lafreniere on Maple. For the police chief, was there anybody cited Saturday night, that melee that kept me up all night?
I do not know if it was
I mean, there was 4 young ladies, so I'm giving them benefit of the doubt. They were out there screaming and hollering for 2 hours. 3 o'clock, somebody finally came and picked them up. I mean, but this is unacceptable. And it was garbage everywhere. So I think somebody should be fined, taking something of it, so this doesn't happen. This, like I said, I was up for 3 hours, didn't sleep.
It was a very extreme, egregious problem sent off in turn that got out of hand. Our officers were there, both the servants, we can do better, do better.
Thank you.
Where was this?
Hey, right off the eyes. I heard about it leaving.
Anybody else wishing to address the board? Great. Communications from the mayor's office. As most of you know, one of our former trustees passed away. His name is Trustee Paul Stiles. So if we could have a moment of silence. Thank you. Appointments. As you guys know, I gave you a resume a few weeks ago, and David Lockman was in Springfield on business, but he is here today. So come on up. You finally made it. So I would like to appoint him, and then you can ask him questions, but if we get first and a second first, appoint David Lockman to the Economic Development Committee. So moved. Trustee Williams.
Second.
Trustee Brown. Would you like to, in fact, why don't you just say a few words about yourself and then we'll go to questions.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Board. Thank you, Glenwood, the village, the great village of Glenwood, for thinking of me and the resources and expertise that I can bring and help the village move forward in a moderate way. And just not to say about myself, but I look at Glenwood as being a pivotal community to capitalize off of things that the state is trying to do, the county is trying to do in the township. So I'm here. I want to listen to the ideas and see how we can move it forward with technology and my background and how I can make the connections. Like the mayor said, I'm in Springfield once a week. I'm in DC once a month. And I think I can help bring resources back to the village, but also bring take your ideas and make sure they're being heard in the other levels of government.
Do you have any questions for Mr. Lockman?
Pardon me? Well, I want to say I've been in the community for 25 years because my parents moved here 25 years ago. And I moved back to take care of my parents, my dad, in 2015, 2016. So I've been living here since 2016.
Any other questions?
I just want to say, Mr. Lockman, this isn't my first time meeting you, so hello again. I just want to thank you for your willingness to volunteer and serve, because you are volunteering your time and your expertise. So all of the committees and my colleagues, we all volunteer to make this community better, and I just want to welcome you and say thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Or question, call roll.
Trustee Brown.
Yes.
Trustee Clark.
Yes.
Trustee Lynch.
Yes.
Trustee Rowe. Yes. Trustee Taylor. Yes. Trustee Williams.
Aye. Okay, you're welcome aboard, and I'll give you a call tomorrow and get you started.
Okay, thank you. I will be in Springfield tomorrow.
Well, I'm going to be in Springfield next week.
Yeah, that next week.
Why don't you call me when you get back?
Sure, I sure will.
We'll talk.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next item is on the agenda is approval for a donation for Lupus Awareness fundraiser. If we could have Kathy Paxton come up and give your advertising.
Good evening, Mayor, trustees, visitors, and residents. This is my granddaughter, Quinte Paxton, who was just recently diagnosed in October with lupus. Can you hear me now? Okay, this is Quinte Paxton. She was just recently diagnosed in October with lupus, and lupus is an autoimmune disorder in the body. There is no cure, just treatments to keep it under control. So this year, Quinte decided that she wanted to do a lupus fundraiser, and she is part of the Lupus Society of Illinois.
And there's a flyer in your pack that I'm sure everybody's. I'm sorry, I just want to make sure.
So we're just asking for a donation to give for the fundraiser of $1,000.
Okay. Anybody got any questions?
What amount did you say, Ms. Paxton? Mayor, is this perhaps something that should be taken from your stipend? You know, if there's a
$10,000 limit, and that was like bringing these things to the board.
I'm very supportive, but I think that should come from your side. And I would suggest that because
It would still come from the board. I don't have a stipend.
I
But I don't have a fund.
I don't want to set a precedence that the village will be start to do that. It will start becoming agenda item opposed to this just being something that can be donated from mayor.
Okay. I don't have a problem with that.
So if we can do it there, I'm completely in favor of it.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
I just want to say that I agree with that. I am very, very sympathetic to this cause. Make no question that I support this, just as I faithfully support my son that has autism. And I was starting to think, well, maybe I should come to the board and ask for that too. So when he says that it has started precedent, it could for MS, my sister has MS, etc., etc. So I'm definitely supportive of that, but yeah, I think that whatever he said.
Any other questions? Okay, would somebody like to make a motion to table?
So,
Lynch, do we have a second?
A second.
Okay, Taylor, third question, call roll.
Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Clark?
Yes.
Trustee Lynch?
yes.
Trustee Rowe?
Yes.
Trustee Taylor? Yes. Trustee Williams?
We will talk tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Putting the pressure on me. Attorney's report, John Donahue.
Thank you, Mayor. Under me is approval for me to file a request to intervene in a petition for the Illinois Property Tax Appeal Board on behalf of Glenwood. This is a big one. The property in question is the nursing home on Cottage Grove. Cook County says the total assessed value of that property is $2.2+ million. And your assessed value for this type of property is 25% of market value. The people that are going to PTAB, it's called the Property Tax Appeal Board, are the owners of the property, and they are claiming and have submitted an appraisal saying the total value of that property should only be $800,000. The assessed value should only be $800,000. That's a big difference. Yeah, it's a big difference. That generally results in a difference of $1,487,000. When you multiply that by a factor of roughly 3, which is the state equalization factor, you get they're seeking an EAV reduction of approximately $4.3 million, which, assuming a property tax rate of 18%, equates to a dollar figure they're trying to avoid of being $776,000 plus. So this is a significant one. So I think this is one we intervene on, and we need to get our own appraisal once you allow this, and the appraisal cost will probably be around $6,000 roughly.
Somebody like to make a motion for the approval of a resolution authorizing legal representatives to file a request to intervene in petition before the Illinois Property Tax Appeal Board on behalf of the Village of Glenwood, tax ID number 3210201009000.
So moved.
Trustee Williams.
Second.
Trustee Taylor. Do you have any additional questions?
I just have a question. So with the appraisal being $6,000, and if the board does agree to this resolution, what you're saying is that if we win the appeal, that we're talking about $776,000.
Yeah, well,
If they win, and this property is in the State Street TIF, the TIF will lose $776,000. So it's worth, I think, time and effort and money, because there's a lot of money at stake. Normally, the way these things work at PTAB is neither side gets what we want. Normally, they cut the baby some way, but even if you do that, it's important that we have a substantial appraisal before them, so we have something to argue about.
Any other questions?
I have one. I might have missed it. Johnson, what tip is this associated with?
State Street TIF. It's the nursing home in Contra.
So, what measurables are we looking at for individuals to represent? Will it be a tax attorney?
No, it would be me with primarily our appraiser, and we would use the gentleman we used last time, which was Tony Uzimek. He has the maximum credentials that an appraiser can have, and he, in fact, at one point in his life, is the gentleman that taught the classes for all the appraisers who wanted to achieve the Master Appraisal Institute certification.
So what was the outcome of the last?
Last one was U-Haul. The way that has been resolved is we agreed with them. You know, remember we wanted to give them Class 8, and then they messed it up? So the way we resolved that is we would go back and get them into Class 8, and then they would withdraw all their PTAB components. And that was pending approval by the county, and I actually sent an email out today asking what the status was on that. So the county's going to approve the Class 8.
So do we have any leverage with the facility on state now? The same we did with you all before?
You know this one?
Yeah.
No, this is just a straight, you look, I can't believe they found an appraiser to say that this is worth $800,000 total, which multiplied out by 4, that's a market value of what, 3.2 million?
Well, last year in Springfield, they wanted to pass a bill that would allow nursing homes to be taxed at residential rates. We were able to get, it didn't go through. But they're looking for it again.
Just as a practical matter, this is a nursing home, and I think Chief Welsh will tell you that they are a frequent flyer when it comes to needing fire department services and ambulance services. Am I correct, Chief?
Absolutely, and I believe the expenses associated with this challenge can be a eligible expense. If that's correct. For the appraisal.
Yeah.
TIF expenses do include professional fees, and I think we can support that.
Good call, Chief.
That's what you got me for.
Third question, call the roll.
Trustee Williams?
aye.
Trustee Taylor? Yes. Trustee Guerrero?
Yes.
Trustee Lynch?
Yes.
Trustee Clark?
Yes.
Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Village Administrator, you got anything else, Jeff?
No, that's it, Mayor, thank you.
Village Administrator, Brian Mitchell.
Good evening, Mayor, Board of Trustees, residents, As you know, many of you have come to us with your concerns for state roads that are here running through the village, including 394, including any road. We did talk with them personally, the mayor and I, in terms of concerns that not only you brought, but we've seen that have been brought to our attention by Public Works. He did tell us there's a rating system, but due to the meeting, he did tell us, and Mary attested this, that he will personally come out here and take a ride with us and look at it, see if the evaluation system that he's using needs to be reevaluated and take a look at the road again. So, all in all, it was a good day in Springfield, day and a half in Springfield, long meetings, late at night. Again, met with our local legislators and as well, branch relationships and started new relationships to try to bring more dollars to the village of Glenwood as well as getting the services and things we need here. So Marilyn, do you have anything else to add to that? I got a couple more items.
Our idea to go down to Springfield is bringing the free money up here to Glenwood. That's our whole goal. But there's other goals. But that's our main goal.
Okay, next thing I want to update, this past weekend was very exciting in Glenwood. We didn't take in this, we do have some more programs coming up. This past weekend, we did have the Cinco de Mayo celebration. Commissioner Miller had her Thrive Ride, Refine bike ride and clinic that was partaked in. And as well, it started off, the second event was the baseball parade. So, mayor, elected officials, some staff came out and celebrated. Right now, we're working on a couple more new programs. One will be Juneteenth. And also for the 4th of July, I would ask that you keep in touch with us, look at our Facebook page, look at our Village of Glenwood website, and to find out what we're going to plan going forward. As well, staff continues to work hard in the departments. Department heads are now starting to come together to eventually start working on their budget sheets for the upcoming budget. That will be starting to come together, as well as programming and things that need to be done within their departments to continue the expectations and the mission statement that has been delivered by the board. Mayor, if there's no questions for me tonight, that will conclude my report.
I was a little disappointed in my first pitch, though. My brain. Go ahead.
I can work my way to all of this.
Okay. Department reports, police, Chief Petticourt.
Thank you, Mayor, trustees, residents, guests. This MOU with Chicago Heights has not been completed, so we have not received yet, so we're not receiving any action on it tonight. But I need a quick overview if you'd like.
Yeah, I can do that.
This would be an MOU with Chicago Heights Police Department. They want to install some pole cameras or license plate readers in the area of Chicago Heights Road and Holbrook. They would maintain and purchase these cameras, but they would use them on our existing tools. And in exchange for us to allow them to do that, they would give our officers and investigators access to those cameras and the data that they read.
Okay, great. Would somebody like to table MOU with the Chicago Heights Police Department?
Second.
Trustee Taylor, Trustee Roll, or why should we call roll?
Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Clark?
Yes.
Trustee Lynch?
Yes.
Trustee Rowe?
Yes.
Trustee Taylor? Yes. Trustee Williams?
Aye.
New business. Trustee Lynch.
It is over, but I do have one for you. We talked about this in our special events meeting today, but Mayor, I was under the impression that this was actually a holiday for the village, but I think we should look at recognizing Juneteenth as a holiday for the village. I know that impacts, I was reminded that impacts union contracts, but I think that that's something we should consider as we move forward, at least for next year, to see how we can maybe get that on our calendar. That's all I got.
I can put it on the next agenda. Any other new business?
Yes, I have something.
Okay.
And I think maybe this goes to Chief Derrick. So I'm noticing at some of the field houses, like the field house on Hickory Glen and on my block on Center. So about a week or so, maybe 2 weeks ago, they were just barbecuing. outside of the field house. We've seen tents, like in the big park in Hickory Glen, tents and bouncy houses. This isn't a forest preserve. I mean, our village, the park is what it is, the field houses. So is there any way to curtail when people just set up like whole family reunions and just kick up like all of that, like it's honestly a park district? Are we against bouncy houses and tents and grills and barbecue and all of that out here?
Well, that would be something I think that the board wanted to prohibit that. We could do some resolution ordinances prohibiting that type of activities on the park property. We have limitations on animals and things like that. I don't know. I know we looked into it before with the fire department for Hickory Park during football, and they sometimes do cookouts. I can't recall exactly what the result of that was, but I know there's options being explored to prohibit that and make that part of the rental agreement.
Mayor, can we, I don't know how to talk about that, but can we talk about that?
Sure. Yeah, what we have to do is we have to amend our ordinance, and then we have to amend our application. So we could look at that, sure.
When can we do that?
Brian?
Or how they,
First, I had a conversation with John to see what we have on the books. If I remember correctly, and we'll review it, I don't think bouncy houses are allowed currently, and I don't think barbecue is allowed. So I'll review it with John, and then we'll come back to the board with some suggestions.
quick question, are family tents the same thing?
I think tents are allowed, but like I said, I'll go back and review.
Okay, thank you.
The ordinance was written, they probably didn't have tents like we do now. Got setting, I don't know.
Yeah, that's how the Constitution was written all those years. They didn't have cars.
Any other new business? Any old business?
Here I have one, just for operation regarding the payroll for April 19. Trustee Taylor, her stating how I did. One, I don't do payroll, but I did do the calculations while we were there, and so I had conversations with Brian, but it really was just, as I looked at payroll, it was a typo in the payroll summary. But the payroll is correct.
Okay, thank you for that correction. Would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn? Wait.
Yeah, I've got a few things. Brian or Chief, where are we with the reverse 911 calls that we were working at with ECOM? Is there any update with that yet?
We are actually, of the 9 villages associated with ECOM, we are the number 2 provider. There's a number of clients who have signed up. I know that we're working on a new Gazette and new social media, which will get that back out there so that more people sign up. But we are right behind South Holland in a number of contacts in our field system. So it's in function and working well. We just need to grow the number of people who sign up.
No, what he's talking about is over the water.
Right.
That's it. That's it. That's the new system.
Okay. So us getting into, maybe I don't understand you. So what does that mean? Does that mean?
It means the individual, when we used to have the old code red, it was fairly simple because it was all tied to landlines. And as we all know, the majority of people now don't have landlines. So the contact is much more tedious. But if we can encourage our residents to sign up under the new system, and I can't remember the name of that system, Rave, and it's been out a few other times. But if they take a minute to either scan the QR code or go into the website, actually enter your cell phone data, it'll push those messages out. We've used it for non-emergent situations. We haven't, luckily, knock on wood, used it in emergencies at this point, but it's very robust. We can break it down by area. It all depends, it's only as good as the information people put on their sites.
So just being able to means essentially just transmitting that information into the system, cell phone numbers, just.
Right, if you were to sign up or had your family sign up, then it's controlled either in emergency situations like storm and floods and things like that, right out of the dispatch center. Some messages are automated, or your department heads, public works, police, fire, can call and have a message sent. And we could limit it to certain areas which might be advantageous in, like the railroad, if we have the event of an evacuation, or when we have a few blocks. If the data is there, we can just send it to that group. And then later put out a general message to the entire populace that, hey, we have this incident. It would be an extension of what the chief has built in TIP 411 as well.
So, Chief, to that point, would we have any boundaries or limitations and the amount of times we can use it now that the purpose of it is kind of repurposed for things other than emergencies?
Because we did it through the dispatch center and the current nine communities, which soon will be 13 communities, the amount of airtime available based on population is greater than most any of us would ever use. But there are regulations what we can use it for. Can't be used for any promotion, any business purpose, any political purpose. There's certain parameters of what we can use it for.
Secondly, Chief, so have you gotten an update on the grant application, or where they are with that?
Which grant? We have several out. Which grant?
The most recent one, that the lesson program we're using, that they submitted for.
No, it's been through one round of review, they call it. I don't know what they call it exactly. We haven't gotten results. That's a computer check of the application, but we're still in the running. It won't be for a while until we get it.
How do you feel the experience of being? Because this will be the first grant we've used with, right?
Right. I feel comfortable because prior we were going for two separate things under the same grant, which is allowable. But they were emphatic when they worked with the deputy chief that you should be programmatic over several years, as opposed to trying to get everything. We did cut it back. I believe the first year, this one we're in for right now, is self-contained breathing apparatus. Next year will be our coach boots and helmets. And the following year, I don't know. But they're programmed out. We did investigate the possibility of a safer grant, which is through the same group, but that's staffing, I can't remember, SAFER, for increased manpower. The problem with that one is it's a 2-year grant, you have to agree to keep 5 more. We couldn't fund it.
Okay. And then today, Brian, so outside of the grant for the fire department, have we prioritized what we would like to go after next with the company for grants?
Yes, after that, we'll be looking at the police department.
Okay. So,
I know that's general, depending on what's available at a particular time, then that will determine if we will go after that new conversation with the application.
So, is it, I forget the length of the contract, I'm going to look at it, but is it their responsibility to tell us what grants are available, or do we request specific areas, whether it be for operations or for first responders or for parks or youth jobs? Like, how do we know what's, are they telling us what's out there, or do we tell them what our needs are and they're finding it for us?
Right, what we asked them to concentrate on first was the police department, and then once it gets up submitted there, also let us know what's coming available on the the police department.
Okay. And then
we can expand, but keep in mind, as we expand the cost, we can expand their scope, but as we expand their scope, we also have to provide.
No, and I remember that portion, but I guess I wanted to be intentional how we went after these grants. So like Chief was saying, they want you to kind of prioritize, and so I'm wondering, are we as a village prioritizing what our needs are so that we're trying to go after this extra money out there? So, I'm sorry. So then my next question is the minutes from the finance that were, because they weren't in the packet, are we going to get those?
I'll have to check with Carol and find out what the financials here.
And you said the budget, they sort of, have you given timelines to the department heads?
The budget sheets have not gone out as of yet. Adam and I spoke this morning about it. I know he and Lee spoke about it also as well. So as soon as the sheets are out, then we will start the meetings with the department heads.
So, maybe like next meeting or July?
I would hope within the next 30 days to have the sheet out.
All right, and then you guys are big with the sports teams and field house. What's happening with that? It's resolved.
It's resolved.
So,
as of last week, it was resolved. Now something else has come up. I did have a rather explosive meeting on Saturday morning, but after that, we'll be able to build a small group and then everything worked out.
so I don't speak for the board, but I know that, at least in my opinion, the consensus was that we were going to get everything key.
Everything has been reviewed.
So none of the
Keys have been
sports.
given out. The only keys that haven't been given out are where we haven't had people that have used the space, but I'm asking people to sign the keys out. So once they sign the keys out, once they get them back in, they sign back in, the keys will be brought back into the village hall.
So the only keys that the team should have is to the storage areas.
It depends. So in Hickory, when we go in that front door football, we'll have a key to that front door. They also have a key to their separate room that they do storage in, and they also have a key to the concession. Basketball, they have a key to the front door. They also have a key to the storage room that they have. Baseball, they have a key to the concession stand at Hickory.
So does that then put us back in the position we were before, that they have the same access that they had previously?
One key. Well, we only have, each team has 2 keys. And that's it. I mean, if we want to go back and say, we're going to give you a key, I mean, let's talk about how we do the residence. The key stays at the police station.
Right.
If we want to now say that we want them to go and get the key every time they go to the field or every time they use the concession, I have to pull the key back if that's what the board wants.
I thought that that's what, again, I won't speak for my colleagues, but I thought that because that's how we ended up at heated conversation that you probably had Saturday or when Mr. Plott was here.
The heated conversation was about individuals from football having stuff in the concession stand, baseball having so much space in the concession stand, baseball putting their stuff on top of football's containers in the concession stand, and then we changed it.
So it wasn't an issue of access and
The other issue that came up was that football continues to have a season now, so baseball didn't want football in the concession stand. Football said they still needed to be in. Baseball was bringing in stuff that they're going to sell from concessions. They want to make sure that no one took that stuff out. So I ended up meeting with the coach of football and the coach of baseball. Got 2 of those children to agree, and then told them since they were in agreement, they had to go back to sales of their respective team, what they agreed on. Which they said both of them, Gary wasn't there on Saturday morning. Mr. Dixon said that in his exact words, that he was totally embarrassed about what happened. So, with that, I haven't heard any more, since we met on Monday with them. I had public works out there in terms of cleaning up some of the area. We talked about a shed. Both of them both agreed they did not need a shed. The area is clean. They both have space for the equipment they need, and they have worked out a plan to exist in the same space.
so they know, so neither sports team needs a share now.
As of that date, no. And they both agreed. Both coaches agreed.
So again, I'm just what I'd like to see. I'd like to see that those keys have to be signed out and nobody gets a key with the exception of this storage room. I think that we cause a problem when we give too much continual access to it. I realize that's a collective decision, but every year we find ourselves in the same position. It's problematic with the sports teams at the beginning of the season. The teams interfering with the other respective schedule time, or items missing, or someone in the stand or field they're supposed to, they're not supposed to. And I think that's because there's freelance access to the different facilities, but that's just my opinion.
Right, and I can understand that, but I think if, the board wants to look at that, in all fairness, I think we need to look at the HOA presidents also. It's been alleged that the HOA presidents, past and or present, have had keys, have actually had functions at the facility.
And I agree.
Not for the
I agree. They should not have keys. They should be everybody. Absolutely. No person, no single individual should have a permanent key to any building or property unless they are employed with that type of access. So just like the HOAs have their meeting, they need to go and sign out a key that can be copied and return the key.
Right, there are keys that can't be copied, and it's just a matter of.
I think that's fine. That's fine.
Right.
If the board wants to agree with it. And then my last question, I don't see a public works director here. So are we getting prepared for landscaping for village owned property?
Yes.
For the summer?
Yes, so some of the beds have been mulched already. I went out to 2 places looking at flowers a week and a half ago. One thing we usually use is, right around Mother's Day. A lot of them are still small. We have to address it with them in hand baskets, those type of things. Joe will be back in next week. So by the time he came back, I worked on and evaluated flowers and additional flowers.
Because I know the only bit where we always seem to have a problem is on Austin. And I know you said that's state property, but they do not maintain it. They don't, and then going into the manor of Austin, those mediums really get out of control.
I know we sprayed them in advance, but something we have to stay on top of. But going back to the other topic, I don't know what the board's thought is on the keys.
I got a quick question about that, because I heard everything you all said. But let me just reiterate some bullet points what I heard. Is the keys have been, the facility has been rekeyed.
Correct.
Okay. And who gets the key? Who has the keys now?
The coaches.
The coaches have the key.
Coaches have keys, and we have, right now, let's say one HOA has keys, so we will be distributing to the other HOAs.
And when do they turn the key? They just keep them on their key ring?
Then we hold on to the key, they will be responsible for the key.
Oh no. Okay.
Okay, so we say, oh no, so do we want to?
I don't agree that they should just have the keys like that, just indefinitely without. I thought we talked about that before, like a check-in process, or either they go to the police department and pick up the key like everybody else does, or they can't pick up. If they pick them up from here, they can't deliver them back here because we're not open on the weekends. So even if they kept them for a few days, but just indefinitely keeping them, I don't agree with that.
Well, I mean, I have no issue if the board makes a decision now to say, when you're using the space, come get the key, when you're done, return the key.
I'd like to make that motion that
Put it on the next agenda. Okay. So we will put the keys on the agenda for next week. Is there any additional old business? Somebody like to make a motion to adjourn? Trustee Lynch, do you have a second?
I like that motion.
Unless you have a question. No. Okay. We have a second? Second. Okay, Trustee Taylor. Quick question, call the roll.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.